Okay, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Swiss Quality podcast. Very proud and happy today to introduce our beautiful Ankita, who is joining us for the first time. She is founder of the Content Brew, and I'm sure that all of you out there are as curious as I am to know what the Content Brew is. I know what a coffee brew is, but not what a Content Brew.
Takes inspiration from there.
Absolutely. So, welcome everybody. And now we are going live on LinkedIn on the planned event. And that's great. I hope we would have plenty of questions for today. All right. Present with me is my co host, the beautiful, the blonde, the amazing Bärbel Wetenkamp, my business partner, with whom we have been now for a while presenting some podcasts together. I wanted to apologize that I don't have the right lighting facing me today, but unfortunately, we're traveling and this is a hotel setup, and unfortunately, we didn't have the time to get an additional light, so please forgive this for today. Ahuja is brilliant. Ankita, we can see her very clearly. She has beautiful light.
Thank you.
Berbel actually is light. She is radiating, so she doesn't need any additional. All right. So I'm the only one who's sitting in the darkness today, but I apologize for that. Guys, let's start with our dear guest, Ankita, today. Ankita, tell us please about your personal journey so that our friends out there can actually identify with your personal journey. Tell us how come Ankita is who she is today. Your personal journey, what led you to this? Please don't talk about work now. We will talk about
Okay.
work later. Start by talking about yourself, spouse, dogs, cats, horses, rabbits, not okras, please. No okras.
I love okra.
No, not your okra. Indian okra is beautiful and I love it. It's very, very
Oh,
tasty. I cook it with tomato sauce, but not the other okra, the one that everybody is talking about now. You've all surely heard about the sad news of Jessica Radcliffe. We're really very
yeah.
sorry for that, but unfortunately, some wild animals, no matter how much you train them, remain wild, and that's unfortunately the price. But that's really a very sad story for today. But let's not start with this. Let's hear about Ankita and her personal journey. Tell us please about any children, spouses, anything you want to tell us, your house, your country, whatever you want to wish, your personal journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark and Babel, for having me here. And it's such a pleasure. And to begin with my personal journey, okay, it's a a long journey. So you said now should not be speaking about my work, so I will keep that aside. As a person, I am pretty much an extrovert. I love speaking with people. I think while growing up, my mom had given me a tagline called the chatterbox, because every time I went in front of anybody, whether it's an adult or whether it's a child, I would just not keep quiet. So, my dad, I remember my dad taking me to his business meetings, and because somebody needed to take care of me, and he used to take me for his business meetings. He used to tell me to sit in the guest house, and when the guests used to come, and these guests used to be like the prominent leaders in his company, right from the CEO, the MD, or whoever, and this little girl comes out and is all chatty with the leaders of the company, because she just wants to talk. She just has so many things to talk. So ever since then, I think I've pretty much loved speaking. So yes, public speaking is maybe one of my fortes, you can call it. I love life in many ways, everything new that it gives me. Love to explore places, love to go out, and I share this passion with my husband. We've been married for almost 18 years now, and I have two
Ooh,
children. Yes, yes,
amazing. Congratulations.
thank you. And okay, on this note, whenever I tell anybody I'm married and I have two children, and one is a Gen Z, one is a Gen Alpha, so like 15, 16-year-old and 10-year-old, for them it's been like a big question mark. Oh, okay, you're married and you have children. I was like, okay, I don't expect that, but then all right. So that's like a compliment, I would take it as. So yes, we've been married for like 18 years. We've been together for over 20 years now. So I think I've known him half my life. So I've literally grown up with him, explored so many things. We both have like a ton of things in common. Like travel is one of them. We would love to party. We love to enjoy life as such, and we're also very family driven. So as a person, I have all these mixed qualities in me, and that's how I've been exploring my entire journey with people around me. So I need people around me, just so that I can exchange thoughts, and I love the new energy that comes in, basically. So yeah, that's like, you'll get to know this as we speak. You will kind of come to know this because I'm extremely expressive. Like I said, I love to talk. So you will see this side of me right now.
That's great. No, no, we can already see the beginning. That's already great.
You can already feel the energy. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay. Bärbel, we've always presented you on this show as founder and CEO of Claruna Business Consulting, Swiss company. Today, we're presenting you as founder of Claruna and Nasiha. Tell us, please, about the Nasiha journey so far.
It's a baby, brand new journey, and I'm very excited about it. As you said, I'm a proud founder and Swiss entrepreneur with my consulting and coaching company, Claruna. But a few days ago, I took the plane and came to Oman. Within the last weeks, I have founded the company Nasiha by distance, and now I'm on site, and I live this incredible adventure of creating something new in a country that is completely new to me, but I am absolutely amazed about the wonderful Omanis, about the beauty of the nature, about the hospitality, the warm-heartedness. And so I'm in the first steps, really, in the absolute beginning, all this organizational stuff you need to do if you move to a new country. And Ankita, this is maybe something we share. I'm someone who loves adventure, who loves change. I know this is not good for everybody. There's many people who do not love change so much. But 7 years ago, I moved from Germany to Switzerland, which is not that far. But still a different country, and now it's 6,000 kilometers. It's very far, it's very different, and I absolutely love every step of it. And I think there is still a lot to discover, a lot to learn, and I really hope that I will have a good start with my new company over here, and in the future working both in Europe and in the Gulf. And that's an amazing idea, something I really, really look forward to.
Bärbel, in Oman, you're even closer to India. So if you've been considering, and I know that you've been considering, now you're much closer.
Yes, absolutely.
Please do come. I would love to host you.
It's nice. I already came quite a lot towards you. Maybe you need to come here. And you like traveling with your husband. It's an amazing country, amazing people. And I'm looking forward to, as much as I can, contribute to the beautiful future vision of Oman and the Gulf.
Our friend Deepak Punikar on LinkedIn is commenting saying this is a too good meeting. Will it be really a too good meeting? Let's see. Do you know
Let's
Ankita?
hope
Do you know
we make
Deepak
it.
Punikar?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it's just a
I'm
friend. Okay, thank you,
sorry. Yeah,
Deepak. We appreciate the
thank
comment.
you.
All right, let's start with the questions, if I may. Ankita,
Yes.
you transitioned from corporate HR and recruitment to building your own writing agency. What was the defining moment that convinced you to pivot?
Um, the defining moment is a little tough to answer. For me, it was actually an accidental moment, if not a defining one. It
Okay.
eventually defined me. So when I shifted from my corporate recruitment job, it was something that I gave up. I took a complete break, career break, because I had to shift
Mhm.
cities. And somebody introduced me to the world of content writing. They said that you're so good at writing, you're good at speaking. Why don't you try this out? And so far, I'd only interviewed people who were writers. Now I had to be on the other side, where I was going to be interviewed by people who needed somebody to write for them. So back then, we didn't have this, immense technology, and everything was very research heavy. So I did my bit of research, and then I got into content writing as a freelancer. So I started as a travel writer. So I if you ask me, that was my accidental moment to get into writing and explore this world. I honestly did not think that I am going to spend so much time in this industry, or I would actually make this my field and my profession at the end of the day. I always thought that this content writing would be a stopgap arrangement for me, and I would eventually go back to the corporate world. I would eventually start working, because I enjoyed the corporate world. Despite whatever people say, I had a lovely time working with different organizations. So this stopgap arrangement became a full-time arrangement, and since 2011 2012 I've been in the content industry. So I can say, like I said, it's an accidental moment, not particularly a defining moment. It has eventually defined me as a person, and it's given me so much and so much of exposure, and people, basically, and diverse industries. So I'm so thoroughly grateful that I made this pivot. And I'm thankful to the senses that maybe at that point I had, that I need to stick to this rather than just looking out for a full-time corporate job.
Yes. All right. Okay, that's good. Bärbel, I have a question for you. From your extensive work in leadership and transformation, what is the most frequent blind spot you notice in leaders today?
Beautiful question. Um, I think this is very individual, of course. This is very different. What I have recently discovered several times, and this is a topic I really think about a lot, and I like to go into it a bit more, is that people start a career, they grow in their career, and you know that I also coach high potential students, and I
Yes.
coach them in career coaching. So, what is the job I'm seeking for, and what is the organization I fit to? And I see for people, they go on with their career, but they do not ask this question anymore. And it's great because I discover more and more people who, even at 50, 60, or in retirement age, they decide to start a second career. They decide to do something they are absolutely passionate about. And here with Ankita, we have a great example. You completely shifted career quite early in your life, but you completely shifted your career, and you just spread this happiness and gratitude to be at the right place today. And what I really wish for people to be courageous, to keep thinking. I think it's a huge gift. Normally we have these many years of a career ahead of us. And it's not decide today and do this, follow this path for your whole life. Just today, I had coaching with a young man, 27 years old, and he said, "Yeah, it's such a difficult decision because I decide for the next 40 years." And I said, "No, you absolutely don't, because there's so many opportunities in life and so many career paths, and you can." Take me as an example. You can decide and restart and start something new at any time, a point in time on your personal way. So this is maybe something that I really wish, especially leaders with a great career, not to forget to reflect from time to time. Is there maybe something else in me that I would really like to do, try out, in whatever form, yeah, in whatever form that could be.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing this. Ankita, I have another question for you. You're a LinkedIn top voice, especially in web content writing. You became top voice, to my knowledge, in 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do you believe sets high caliber content apart from average content online?
Okay. So, in 2023, LinkedIn had come up with a series of, temporary top voice badges, and those were
Yes,
the
yes.
golden badges that they called. And there, I had got, I think, about five top voice badges for specific fields, industries, or specific things basically. And that's where maybe you have read that, okay, I have I've become a top voice. I don't officially have a blue tick, which I would love to get if LinkedIn gives me one, but I don't have officially a blue tick. And that is where that is those are who are described as top voices basically, one who have the blue tick. Now that's one part. So the one thing that I see that sets apart average content from high caliber content is the kind of insight and personalization that you bring to the content. Now, most people emphasize upon how important it is to format your content, how important it is to structure your content. I would say you need to share your lived experiences. There are dime to a dozen tips available online. Okay, you can go on Google, find 10 things that you need to do to become a great communicator, 5 things you need to do to become a great writer. You can follow these steps, but will you follow them? Okay, one, will you follow them? Second, if you do, are you practicing? The ones you see who are really good at writing are the ones who have practiced for years and years together. They have mastered the art of creating content. So, high caliber content, you will see people who are actually sharing their lived experiences. They're sharing what they have learned personally in their journey, how it has impacted them, and making it about the other person, like how it can impact you today. If I have to tell you, Mark, that you can probably run a podcast in this way, you would be like, oh, okay, I know how to run a podcast. But if I tell you that these are the 5 things that went wrong in the 5 podcasts that I have conducted, maybe you may want to
Yes.
look at it. That will be something that you may think about. Not did that make you think? If it did, that is where your high quality content is starting to churn. So your lived experiences, your personal insights, the personalization that you bring to make it relatable to the other person is where your high quality
Yes.
content comes in. Right now, mediocre content, you will see it'll be very visible today, especially. You have so much of AI content around, and you have so much of AI written content that you can clearly understand that this is not the way this person talks, because one post speaks of X thing, the second speaks of Y thing. There is such a disconnect over there that I don't think it's genuine. You get the vibe, today the people talk about the vibe, right? You get the energy, you get the vibe from the post, or from a writing, or from any written content that you read, or any audio you listen to, any video that you see. It's because those people are talking out of experiments that they have carried out themselves. So please experiment with any form of writing that you're trying out. Please experiment with the content that you want to bring out, and you truly need to believe in the why of being there at that particular time, why you're creating that content. If you don't believe in the why, whatever you put out is never going to work. So that is the basic difference. These 3 aspects are the basic difference between mediocre content and high quality content, and you will see it yourself when you read posts basically.
You speak so well of the why and the why that I have the impression Simon Sinek is taking part on this this podcast. You know the Simon Sinek and his 5 whys.
Please get him. I would love to meet him. Get him on your podcast, Mark, and have me as your co-host.
I can try.
Please do.
I can try. All right, that's
It's
great.
a great idea.
Yeah. Birbal, how do you align psychological or emotional readiness with strategic business goals during transformation?
Is this for
Oh,
Barbara?
Bo, I think so. Yeah, is this for me? Yes.
Yes, yes, Birbal.
Um, they are so important because one doesn't go without the other. Especially if you speak about transformation, we just talked about change, where there is apparently less people who love and need change, and there's more people who find this kind of uncomfortable. Also, this depends, of course, the change, but it's a bit challenging. It takes a lot of energy. It gives confusion. It gives fear. It gives anxiety. Also, hope. Entertaining parts. But normally, it's very destabilizing. And everything I just mentioned has to do with emotion. So now if we speak about business transformation, we might have a brilliant idea. We transform the business, we go forward, we have everything thought through. But business is people, isn't it? And if people, either they're excited or afraid of change, definitely it costs a lot of energy. It's tiring. In the middle of change, you left your old world, you didn't arrive to your new island. You get confused. You don't know if it's worth. Everything was better before because everybody knew how to do. Now you need to redefine, you need to adapt, you need to relearn. All of this has to do with a lot of emotion, and this is different for every single person. So it's crucial for leaders to understand this and to deal with it. It doesn't help to take out your strategy paper and say we're at step 1, 2, 3 and we just need to get it done. If you take up people where they are with their emotions, then you have a huge chance to get change and transition done in a way that everybody of the team will buy into it.
Thank you for sharing this. Ankita, I want to go back to what you said earlier. You're right that if somebody thinks that actually by using ChatGPT or whatever AI, they can replace professional writing, especially in marketing, then most of the time it is obvious. You can see that, for example, as you mentioned, the two posts are totally disconnected, or the style is very different. But don't you see that maybe the latest versions maybe bring some improvements in that perspective, in the sense that they try actually to understand who you are and what you do and what is your tone, or eventually they would ask you to provide a few samples from your past writings so that they can try to match that.
Absolutely. That does happen and it is a reality. So I'm not saying that you need to discard AI completely. We have to adapt to it. Now, when I say you can see a disconnected writing on anybody's post if they are blindly using ChatGPT, or I would say any AI tool for that matter, you would see a bit of a disconnect if they've not trained it to their voice, to their tonality, to their style. Like you rightly pointed out that yes, today you can train the AI to speak like you, to emulate the words that you use, to kind of bring out what you talk about. But
Yes.
here the big but is, once all that is done, are you going to blindly go and put it out just because it has put in your thoughts and given your entire ideas the way you would want it? Sometimes you feel that it is more it's better than how you would write it. But here I would say, please take a step back. While AI can do a lot for you, they can emulate you, replicate you, copy you, whatever, mimic you in any way. But here you have to go and start thinking about different perspectives that AI has given you. Take that particular draft that you see of content as a prompt for yourself, for you to think better. Now, when you are looking at that prompt, are you trying to refine it? How can you refine it further? How can you make it more personal to you and your thoughts? Because there is a human element that is involved over here. Until unless that human element comes out through your content, you will not be able to crack the high quality content bit of it. Now, we have seen a lot of high quality AI content as well. I would not deny that. And today, the world is moving very rapidly towards this entire mindset. Here, I would again say that please go and put out the kind of words and thoughts that you really have at that point of time. Just because a sentence looks perfect doesn't mean that you need to put it out. Is this a sentence you would speak to a person when you're talking to them one on one? You would not. You need to speak to the person one on one. See, whenever you're writing content, always remember you're writing for one person. You're writing for somebody who is reading it right in front of them, like you and I are talking. We are one on one right now. So I am writing for you. Now, can you relate to that content? If I am speaking with you in a particular way,
That's okay. Just
will
go on.
will So, okay, if I'm speaking with you in a particular way, would it be that would I speak the same way, or would I be a little more relatable, little more relaxed? I would use the right words that would suit the situation. So tweak it accordingly is what I would say. So that's where you can start using AI to your advantage. You can start leveraging AI to your advantage, and then you can improve your writing. Take it as a tool, as an assistant for you. Don't make it you. Okay, it cannot be you, because always remember, you're talking to one person on the other side of the screen. There is not a group of people who's sitting and reading it. You're having a one-on-one conversation. If I can't talk to you in person the way I'm talking on LinkedIn or on through a content piece, I'm not being authentic. That is not who I am, and that is not who you are. So always remember, it's a one-on-one conversation. The moment you keep this in mind, your content quality and the kind of words you would want to use, the way you would want to emote through your content would change completely.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much
Mark,
for sharing
Mark,
this. I think
Mark,
Berber
if you
can
allow,
relate to
I would.
this.
Yes,
Please.
yes, I would love to add to this, and I couldn't agree more, Ankita. Um, you said we have to adapt to AI, and probably it's especially that AI has to adapt to us. You said use it as an assistant. It's great. I mean, I think it would be silly to pass by not to use or not wanting to use AI. But what I really think is so important, in addition to what you just said, um, AI can help you in many things, can help you to be more productive. I love to use AI for brainstorming. Before AI, I always had a flip chart in my office because I'm someone who loves to brainstorm with people. And if there are no people around, then I had to draw and design and think and cut and glue to develop content. And I think with AI, that it's a good way to brainstorm, for example, to get inspired. But don't let AI be you. You said it so beautifully. Of course, and luckily, you are you. And I think if we let AI do our jobs, then we shouldn't be afraid that AI takes over our jobs.
Yes.
And in addition to this, I like to take the analogy of a sat nav, of a GPS system. I used to know, I learned this from my dad, where is north and south and where is which highway in Germany. And if you want to go from Hamburg to Munich, you should go these highways and in this direction. And even if there's a deviation, I would know the other cities and know where my direction is. I was also able to read cards, maps. And since you use a sat nav, a GPS, sometimes I don't even know where I'm driving. I forget. I don't pay attention. I don't know where I am because the sat nav is taking me there. And I'm
True.
afraid that AI will influence our brains if we stop thinking ourselves. And it will also influence and reduce our emotional capability if we stop feeling ourselves, thinking, learning, growing. So it's great if we use it to be more efficient, to be inspired, to do whatever, but don't hand over your personality and your job to it. Be
Yes.
smart. We can learn everything we want, and today it's easier than ever because everybody has access to the internet, to AI, and so on. So use it to become a better version of yourself, to become more professional, to master, to repeat, to learn, to grow. But don't give up your work, your feelings, your insight, and your job, your life, whatever.
Absolutely.
Ankita, in your experience, do you see AI, even when you try to use it properly, do you see it most of the time given right, smart answers or rather confusing or misleading answers?
It gives you the answers that you seek. Honestly, you want to talk to a mirror, you speak to AI. I would say that. You want to hear yourself, you speak with the AI. Now, here it is training, um, based on what you are giving it. Basically, it's getting trained based on all the inputs that you are putting in, and it'll never give you any contradictory answers. It'll never give you, oh, you know what, I don't think this is right, I don't think you should write this, or I don't think you should think this way. That is your judgment now. Do I think this way? Because I play around with AI quite a bit. I ask it leading questions. I ask it personal questions, and it gives me all the answers that I would feel good to read. But is that good enough? Do you want to always feel good when you read something? Because AI is trained to make you feel good. Oh wow, you are the best person alive, and the world is thankful for your existence. But that is not the case. So here you've got to
It
use your
is. It
brain.
is.
And it is, you've got to kind of make tune it to yourself. And that's why I keep saying that, okay, it is training on whatever you are giving it as an input, and it is getting trained on those millions of content pieces that are out there on the internet. And that's the reason why you can access it. You have brilliant accessibility. But when it comes to actually getting a particular answer, it can be misleading. There is always a note which is said, which is given on all AI tools, and a very small disclaimer that there can be mistakes, please cross reference. Because yes, there have been instances in the past where people have blindly taken the content and put it out only to find out, oh, this was incorrect information. The AI basically picked up information from 10 years ago. That is not the information you want. That is where you need to do your research, to go and check out, is the information correct, especially when it comes to numbers, when it comes to stats, when it comes to any real time happenings. Go on to the news sites, go on to the periodicals, go on to people who are actually talking about this, your journalists, maybe the editors of large magazines and newspapers. They are talking about it. Take your own mind and research, but don't blindly follow it. So yes, it can help you in many ways, but it can also be misleading. You need to use your brains. Do not transfer your brains to the AI tool. Basically, it's not
Absolutely.
helpful in the long run.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing this. Birbal, you have written a book, right? AI in business, correct? Business transformation. In your book and in your feelings, do you think that AI is slowly making part of our daily business?
Oh, yes, certainly it does. Certainly it does. And I wrote this book because, I talk to many companies, I talk to many leaders, and there are those who are absolutely excited, dive into it, see where AI can help grow or improve their business, be it in efficiency or in customer service and so on. But there is also companies who did not really start yet to use AI, and who maybe feel a little bit falling behind and don't know how to start. And I think you need to get into it. Try small, try somewhere, play with it. Invite those in your organizations who would love to start some grassroots initiative to figure something out in AI. Because I'm afraid if you 100 years ago, we used to deliver uh, goods with a, how do you say this, a calèche, with horses and what's the name in English?
A cart, I
When
think. A
a
cart.
cart. Thank you, Mark. So we used to use this to deliver goods, and then some crazy people invented a car, and people thought, wow, we have our 3 horses, why do we need such a crazy thing? It were
Yes.
Germans, by the way. Mrs. Benz, who took her 2 sons and the first Benz car while her husband was sleeping, and she took it from one German city to another, like 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers or something. And people thought, this lady, she is totally crazy. She takes her children, she's a woman, and she drives with this devilish, crazy fast machine. Why would someone do this? Well, today we deliver by drones. We are not anymore stuck in the traffic jam with cars and lorries. So those things go very fast, and they go very, very far also. And I'm afraid if you do not adapt or implement AI in your strategy in the company where it makes sense, then you are in a big risk to fall behind your competitors, to not satisfy your customers anymore. And there again, run your business with your brain and your heart, but use AI to be a better version of this, to open new markets. So I wrote this book for those companies who haven't dared to start yet, or who think they don't need it, inviting them to start somewhere and not to leave it out. Can I add a little story, Mark?
Please, of course.
It goes many years back. I remember I sat in my home office. This was when I started my first company, and I received a paper letter from the German Post. And they were talking about something called internet. And they were offering me that I could have a b.wetenkamp@tonline.de, so something called email, electronic mail, in this paper letter. And I'm someone who loves gadgets, who loves trying new things, but I was kind of busy, but stressed those days. And I thought, well, you don't have to jump on everything, yeah? You will leave this out, you will not do it. So I throw the letter away, and I wasn't the first one to sign up for it, as I would normally be. So it's no problem if you haven't started yet, but please do it. It's not going to go away. Please start to try AI, and you will find your way through very quickly.
Nice. Thank you. We will definitely come back to this, talking about future books that you have already in line. Ankita,
Yes,
any
yes.
projects of books? Anything that you're planning? Anything you're kicking behind?
Books? Oh God. No, not yet. I think I've been told this by so many people, so many of my friends, including my family, that you should like write a book and you should start a book. But I am not going to be doing that right now, and not in the immediate future. Yes, I do have plans where I want to bring my dad's life in front of everybody. My dad's lived a beautiful, a wonderful life, and he's given me a wonderful life. He's done everything. So it's literally a person who was at his peak, who's come down, who's fallen down hard, and he did grow. But then eventually, by the time he grew, it was time for him to kind of retire. And but there are so many learnings that I want to bring out through him, because my kids keep getting very excited when they hear his stories. So yeah, maybe that would be a book that I would even think about, but not something with my life or what I have done right now. Maybe short ebooks or some kind of reading material online that people can download. But no, I not a book in the immediate horizon, at least.
I understand. Okay. That's cool. Bärbel, in your sessions, what is one question that you ask your clients that almost always catches them off guard, in a good way, of course?
You mean in my coaching sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a question that you often ask, which you have the impression that your clients were like, oh, not expecting this, and they feel like they're caught off guard? Can I share with
When
you
it
one
comes,
story to inspire you?
yes, please go ahead.
I was once, a few years back, I was in Spain, and I was actually volunteering to help some Spanish people actually practice English. And joking with somebody that I knew from previous discussions, I didn't say, how are you? I said, who are you? And he was very, very reactive, very emotional. He said, this is the most difficult question that anybody has ever asked me in my life. I'm going through an identity crisis. I'm asking myself who I am, to which group I belong, and my wife, my work, my child. I'm asking myself questions about everything, and then you come and ask me who I am. So the joke
That's very
turned to a
powerful.
very, very existential moment where the guy was really thrilled. So
Yes.
anything similar?
It's a very, very powerful question. And actually, when it comes to coaching, some people ask me, what is coaching actually, and what is the difference between coaching and consulting? This is not always clear to everybody. And coaching really is this part. It's not where you are trained or given advice how to move forward or to change or whatever do. But coaching is meeting a person on a very personal level, and by questioning help the person to find the answers to their own questions. So it's not me giving the advice, not me giving the answers. So indeed this is so individual. I think I haven't asked the same question twice in any coaching. But to find powerful questions as you have done in Spain, I think this is also something very interesting, which deepens and improves relationships. Or when you get to know people, you know, these networking meetings when everybody goes, "Hello, how are you? Who are you? What you're doing in life?" And then everything is told, and you don't take it from there. But if you start asking good questions, like what made your day today, or what is the three reasons why you came here, or who are you, instead of how are you, this really brings us in connection, and then we start to exchange and build deep relationships, build real relationships.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Um, Ankita, if you could rewrite the rules of branding in one sentence, especially for emerging markets, what would your new rule be? What would that rule be?
Stop overthinking. Just go and do it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because we keep reading so much of content online. Just let's keep this in the back of our head right now. We keep reading so much about branding, about how to build a strong brand, and and we get lost in that content space. We get lost in the conversation, and that's when an overwhelm sets in. We start overthinking, and I'm not talking about just regular working people, or no offense to anybody, but I'm not talking about people who are working, starting out. I'm talking about people at a founder level as well. When they are getting into the branding space, they overthink so much. They keep on fretting about small things, that whether it'll work, whether it'll not work, when am I supposed to do this, am I supposed to do that, X person is doing this, Y person is doing that. Stop it. You need to figure out, like I said in our conversation earlier, the why. Okay. I would change the rule by saying that please stop overthinking and stop listening to the noise around you. That's when you will actually start to figure out why you need this, and is this who you are. So if I have to rewrite any rule of branding, I would say that please stop overthinking and just start doing, however messy it may be, because all startings, all beginnings are messy, and it is good to be messy, because if you don't have that mess, if you try to make it perfect right from the get go, you're not going to learn anything. How are you going to come up and say, okay, these are the learnings that I had? And if somebody asks you, what are the learnings that you had when you're building? Oh, I don't think I had a learning, because I tried to be so perfect. And in that perfection, I got lost. So, yes, you would want to figure out why you overthinking. So, please stop overthinking and just go and do it. Cut out the noise. Really, that's the first rule of branding. And just get down and do the work. Just get your messy start. You will figure it out.
It's okay if there's
I
a
love
messy
that.
start.
Yes, you should have a messy start. Believe me, I wouldn't have been here if I did not have a lot of messy starts. It's like when people see my journey, when they see me, they see a person who is, oh, she's done it and she's doing so well, etc., etc. But they don't know the messy starts I've had. I don't even say a start. Messy starts that I've had, the messy beginnings that I've had at so many stages of my journey so far. Every time something went wrong, and I used to be like, oh my god, I should have done more research, I should have been perfect. It got me nowhere, because I was so bothered about being perfect and learning everything right at the beginning, that I never even began that work. So here, please have your own messy start, learn from your own mistakes, but the important and key thing is, learn from your mistakes, don't repeat them. So, messy starts and beginnings are great, but please learn from them. Stop overthinking, just do it. You will figure it out.
As you can see on the screen, our friend Piyush is telling you that this is interesting and he would love to read your book as a first person.
Oh, Piyush is a dear friend. It's very sweet
You
of you,
already
Piyush.
have
Thank you
fans
so
for the
much.
book before even deciding you want to publish.
Oh my God, these kind of comments are now going to make me think, should I write a book?
Maybe you should.
Thank you. Maybe I should.
Birbal, back to you if you allow me. Talking about messy starts, tell us, please, in your perspective, in your coaching sessions, how maybe you see this often that some leaders want everything to be perfect, and because it's not perfect, they keep postponing.
Yes. They
Tell
don't
us
even
about this, please.
start. They don't even start. And nothing happens as long as you don't start. I can talk from myself. I started my career, my first job was being a journalist. So I interviewed people like you're interviewing us now. I wrote articles every way. I produced content. This was my day-to-day job. And then over the years, I moved on to other careers, other businesses. I learned a lot of things. I'm very grateful for this. And then I wanted to go back to what we're doing right now, create content and speak. And I was so terrified to go before a camera like right now. I was, no, I can't do it today. My hair is looking messy. Oh no, I can't do it today. I have a strange voice. Oh no, I don't have cool, good content, not good enough. So I had so many excuses each and every time when I wanted to produce video content or audio content that I just did nothing. And then same happened. I'm a professional content writer. This was my profession. I have learned this. And I have filled pages and pages of newspapers over years. And then I started and said, I want to create content. And there was this panic of the white page, the first sentence. How do I start? And who will read it? And will people be interesting? And will I offend someone? And that I didn't start. And this is the wrongest thing you can ever do. So just do it. Just do it and improve and learn and grow and take deviation. This happens to everybody because, as far as I know, there is not one person on this planet who fall from sky being perfect. So it's always a journey. And that is the great thing also. You learn, you improve. It's not, oh, I cannot speak, I cannot write, I cannot lead, I cannot present. None of this, all of this is nonsense. You can learn everything you want, but it's a journey. And mastery has to do with 10,000 times doing something. You need to be ready to go for it, go for it, go for it again. If you think at the grand chef, the cooks, did they start like this? No, they have been children in the kitchen of mom and they learned how to peel a potato, or I don't know what, or to turn the dough, to knead the dough. So we all start. We start to walk and we fall down and we stand up again, and then we become perfect sports athletes who run the fastest in the world.
Thank you very
I
much for
want to add
sharing this,
add
Birbal.
something here, Mark. Can I add something
Please,
just to the
please,
point?
please.
Like you spoke about messy start, and you spoke about public speaking. Speaking basically coming online. Now you remember I said that I love speaking. I love coming on a public platform. So but if you've worked so long remote, if you've worked so long in the house without any human interaction, it gets very difficult to come in front of two people also. It gets very difficult to come in front of an audience. So you're writing, you're hidden behind, but when you're on camera or you're addressing an audience, it is scary. And yes, I did, I always feel nervous when I come online. So or adding to this, I think I left a lot of my speaking opportunities way back in 2017, 2016, and thereon, because I was so scared, because I had lost touch with human interaction. I had lost touch with group conversations. I had lost touch with people who would think alike basically. And it was so lonely because, see, freelancing, running a business from the house is actually a very lonely business. But and it drove me into my shell that I started doubting. I had so much of self doubt. I remember still that I had one company, the name was Bloody Donuts, and I cannot forget that because they approached me to come and speak about a writer's block in front of an audience of about 30, 40 people. And I was like, oh no, 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 this cannot happen. One, it is an opportunity that came right, from the front. Somebody wanted me to come, and I'm talking about 2016, 2017. And then I'm like, no ways, I don't think I am equipped enough or knowledgeable enough to come and speak. And that was my downfall, my biggest downfall when it came to speaking opportunities, because people who actually went for it have done brilliantly well today. But ones who have who have been overthinking, like I did, I really thought over that process and I gave up. I was like, no, I'm not well, and I have this, so no, a sore throat, and I don't know what excuses I made. I just made a bunch of excuses to not come on that screen, and they never approached me again. And I left many such opportunities because I was afraid of a messy start. But once that messy start happened, that took place in front of a college audience, online, virtual college audience, I was like, no, nothing doing. I'm just going and talking. I know it, I will own it. And that's it. That's where it started. So, yes, you just got to go and do it. Stop overthinking it.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much for
And
sharing
it has
this.
always to do with courage, this first step, right?
Absolutely.
It's courage. And then you take your way through it.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah.
Bärbel, you've supported transformations across multiple industries. What's the transformation trend leaders aren't seeing coming yet, but they should?
We have many, many companies that have adapted their leadership style. There's a brilliant book from Frederick Laloux who is speaking of the different levels of companies in terms of maturity, organizational maturity. We come out of a time, long time ago, there's very little left where it's really top down. There's the boss who knows and says and decides everything, and then you have your silos and the order goes down. People don't interact because everybody's talking only to the boss. So we move onward from this. Today, every person in the workforce has constantly changing teams that you work with. So you have your home team, but then you have other departments or customers, suppliers, whoever, different teams, projects that you work on. So we start to learn that no, it's not that we start. Companies are very far ahead and others are learning that all of this is more of a network, that it's more natural because people are creative and responsible and experts, so they can and want to work with each other. They don't want to follow organigrams that go top down. And this is what organizations need, because organizations are like organisms. To be able to grow, to learn, to prosper, you cannot work like this. You just need to look into nature, and then you see how neurons are connected and how plants grow. So nothing goes top down, nothing. This is an invention of the human being, and this doesn't help grow organizations. So, and then there is, on the other side of this maturity, organizational development, there's countries, they do not have any boss who decides anything. Their understanding is we are here to make possible that all our colleagues can work the best as they can. It's not the boss who is the most important, it's the boss who serves everybody on this company, who serves as best as he or she can, so that everybody can flourish and grow and work. And there is companies where employees discuss with each other the rules and how they collaborate together, and the leader has nothing to do with all of this. So this is two extremes. and then there is a lot in between. But I'm very, very happy, very glad to see that organizations modernize and take into account the huge potential people have if you let them be creative and responsible. And if you do not press them in old processes and rules and forms that are not anymore helpful.
Thank you for sharing this. Very inspiring, very insightful. Um, Ankita, if I may, how do you personally balance storytelling with analytics when building a campaign? And what do you do when they point in opposite directions?
Wow. Okay. So storytelling and analytics, right? Now, in my case, what I do is I have two separate sections basically, or two separate categories in my head. So your storytelling is here. Now, what is the who is the audience that you're addressing? What is it that they want? What are the pain points that you're trying to address? What are the benefits that your particular story or your product or service story can tell them? And how can they feel more important and more involved in your story? That is one pillar that's going on. The second analytics bit of it. Now, the analytics comes from if there's something that's already happening parallelly, right? Now, when you look at the analytics, you're going to look at certain touch points. What kind of audience is actually viewing your story? What kind of an audience is there for your particular product or service? Is that audience reachable through which medium? What medium will you try to take to go to that particular audience? You cannot be fixated that I want to run a particular campaign and I only want to do it on this platform. Today it doesn't work like that, and I think everybody who is in the campaigning, in the ad space, or in the branding space understands this particular part, that you need to figure out where your audience is. Now that's where your analytics will come into play. That place that where your audience is will also give you a rough definition of the age group of that audience. Okay, will also give you a definition of what the audience generally likes to hear. You can basically go and check your analytics for the questions that are being asked, or the demography that your audience comes from. How many people come from, the levels in their own life basically. Or I would not want to put it as designations, but if they're working professionals, you would also see what is the kind of title they hold. And all of these analytics is very readily available to you right now. You go to any tool, you even go to your own platform, any social media platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You have those analytics and those insights. That is a clear indication of the kind of audience you want to talk to. And around that, now you've already defined the way you would want a story to be told. Now you refine the way the story has to be told for that particular audience to resonate. Because if the product is being built for them, you need to hear what they are speaking. You need to hear the questions that they're asking. You need to conduct this kind of market research at the back end, basically. Do your like surveys. You want to do surveys. That's the easiest way to get a hold of what people would want to hear from you, or from a brand, or what they expect. Speak to your friends. Start with your immediate circles, friends, family, neighbors. Go and speak with them and understand in their conversation if this is something that they would look for. These are touch points to help you build a story, to refine that story, which would lead you to your analytics, which will tell you that this is the platform that this kind of person is going to be available on, and now how am I going to merge it? Only then will you be able to build something successfully for an audience that craves for your product or service. You cannot blindly go and create something and say, oh, now you need to buy it, when that person is not even there on that platform, right? So if I'm selling a very massive enterprise level product or a software, I would most likely find my audience on LinkedIn. because the decision makers are on LinkedIn. You want the decision makers to be here. You would find your founders and all of them over here. But if you try to promote the same high quality, high end enterprise level product on probably an Instagram or a Facebook, you can run ads as well. But if you want to run it on an Instagram, I don't think you would get that kind of attraction. You will find the lower level people, yes, but will they be your immediate circle of influence? Will they be in the circle of influence of the person who can make the decision? Okay, so there are two people that you're now looking at. You're looking at the decision makers, and you're also looking at the circle of influence. You need to keep this in mind. So your messaging is tied into this kind of a mindset. So your storytelling is defined, you refining it to suit the analytics of the audience that you've picked out from the platform, and that's how you marry the two together. Does it make sense?
And that's how you marry the two together. I like the way you ended it. Verbal, in your experience, how do you help leaders distinguish between urgency and importance, especially when technology is constantly creating artificial fake emergencies?
Yeah. Yeah. So, very generally speaking, I think leaders should pay attention that emergencies are not important topics, important tasks that haven't been urgent before and have just been procrastinated. So this is what happens very often, because leaders obviously are very, very busy, and it's very hard to focus on what is really important but not urgent. But if you wait long enough, everything gets urgent one day. And then you have all these urgent things to do, but maybe it's not the most important and strategic thing that you had to do that day.
Nice. Thank you very much for this. Um, Ankita, you often work with cross functional teams. What's your personal way to break silos and get everyone to co create?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's very difficult, honestly, to work in cross-functional teams and ask them to come out and, be a part of this entire thing together, because everybody has their own ideas. So for me, my first, okay, I'll go back to my corporate days. When I was working in the corporate, so we, as recruitment specialists or as part of the talent acquisition teams, we were working with multiple teams at the same time. So you have the hiring manager of a process, you're doing hiring for them, then you're also doing hiring for probably a corporate sector, you're doing it for an engineering sector or whatever. Now you're merging all of them. Now over here, what we had learned was that you need to have at least two people aligning to the thoughts that you are talking about, or the thoughts that you are trying to bring out. Because if the goal is common, you've identified a common goal, you need to get them together. Now, how do you get them together? You need to show it to them in their own language, to show it to them in their own benefits, how it's going to help them. And then you merge them together. Then you get them under the same in the same room. You start talking to them, because ultimately the goal is one, to hire. That's it. You need to hire good people. Now, what could be a broad based strategy to hire good people? You're laying down your foundation, you're doing the interviews, that you're trying to sort through the profiles, but there are certain commonalities which will always be there in the profiles. Now, that's how I did it in when I was part of the recruitment process, and it is years ago. um, it was a challenge then, and I'm sure it's a big challenge today as well, but we still try to do that, get all of them in the same room. But today, when you talk about when I'm trying to build brands, I'm trying to build personal brands over here, there is a lot of conflict in a way when there are internal teams involved, because the internal team thinks in a particular way, and then you have the leader or a founder who thinks in a particular way. For me, the biggest saving grace has been the fact that I have always made it very clear that I am co-creating content with you. I am not writing for you. I am not writing content blindly for you. That means I need your inputs. If I don't have your inputs, your brand doesn't work. If I don't have your personal opinions, your brand fails. And then that comes on me. I am not going to take that onus. And I've been very clear. And it's taken me a lot of courage to come and say this to people today. It was not the case when I started my career. It has started now, maybe in the past 4 years, that I have evolved and kind of articulated my way in myself in such a way that I need to co-create with you. So that means I need your internal team if I'm going to deal with them. I need you and I need me to be on a call at least once in a week or at least twice, once in 2 weeks. Only then will we be always constantly aligned to the same thought process. Because the moment you're not aligned, one person is thinking differently, the second person is thinking, oh, the other person doesn't know anything. So you're all assuming, we are living in that assumption. So I think getting people on a call is very important, especially when you're working remote and when you're working in a um, dynamic environment. So in the kind of work that I do, there is not too much of a cross functional interference as much as it is the internal team and the leader who is involved, and the third person is me. So getting these three people together is also sometimes a big challenge. But in my corporate days, yes, getting the cross functional teams was always driven by what is in it for them. You always have to show what is in it for them. Even if it is 2 points, you bring those 2 points to the table, you bring these 2 points to the table and get them all to sit down to talk it out and to agree to a common process. The skills may change, but the process remains the same, right? It just evolves. So that is how I have worked with cross functional teams and got them in the same room to at least talk to each other.
Thank you for sharing this. Thank you. Bärbel, talking about cross-functional teams and multicultural teams, you're multilingual and multicultural. How does this help you detect invisible barriers during executive coaching that others might miss?
Yeah, I think it is important, if you're multilingual or not, to be emotionally intelligent and to see and understand what is important to the person in front of you. We all tend to have our own ideas in our mind, and this echoes, even if others speak. Do we always really listen, or do we listen to ourselves and preparing our answer and waiting for the moment when we can jump in? I think what is really crucial and what we should learn more and practice more is that we focus on the person that is in, or the people who are in front of us, with a positive, generous mindset, and really listen, and not so much deal with ourselves. How do I get my idea through? And why is he saying that? Maybe, all of those things. And this has to do with trust and relationship and deep and honest interest for the person that is in front of you. And if we want to co-create or if we want to collaborate, it doesn't work otherwise. If we are all only occupied with our own thoughts, our own what I have to say, our own ideas, without listening and anticipation, this creates misunderstandings, this creates tension, this damages relationships, and especially the output will always be kind of poor.
Thank you for sharing this. Um, Ankita, what's a marketing myth, an untruth that you wish the industry would retire, and what is the truth that we should embrace instead?
The myth in marketing, I think we kind of addressed that at the beginning as well, but the myth in marketing is that you need to know everything, right? Now, that is one of the biggest myths in marketing that I've heard. If you don't know, how will you succeed? Now, that is one of the biggest myths that we need to retire completely. You don't need to know everything. The world is changing so much today. What worked in marketing, maybe in the traditional sense 20 years ago or 15 years ago, is has highly evolved today. We have a different way of looking at things, of different way of presenting our thoughts and ideas. So if it was a structured way that we were looking at earlier, that you need to build a campaign, you need to start speaking about a product, you need to start building awareness about a product, right from the get go. No, today I think it is more founder driven. If I go to see, marketing works if it is more founder driven or more leadership driven. So that is one of the myths that we need to retire, that one, you need to know everything, and that it has to be only the brand or the name driven kind of a approach that you have. Today it's a lot to do with a brand that is driven by the founder. So you see most of the successful brands today, the way they are marketing themselves is not based only on the product that they're projecting in the market, or they have in the market, or they're introducing in the market. It's the founder who has already built a brand, a founder who's already built a strong presence, and that's where your marketing starts to flow. It is easy to market a product when there is trust built. Okay, it becomes relatively easier to market a product when there is trust built, and that's when your founder led marketing makes a very big difference. We talk about founder led branding, we'll talk about founder led marketing. It makes a very big difference when you're trying to speak from a personal point of view, rather than only trying to learn everything about the particular market and then just going head on with the product. No, just start leading with the person first, and that will make a big difference.
Thank you for sharing this. Um, Bärbel, if you could redesign the boardroom of the future, what's one ritual or one rule that you would add and one that you would remove?
I would definitely add more breaks, more
Uh-huh.
standing up, walking around, less sitting in large seats. And I would love for more boardrooms that there is more listening and co-creation, because the silo thinking and the I try to get my point through already starts there. So I think these hugely intelligent and experienced people, they could have so much more impact if boardroom meetings would be focused on personal exchange and real strategic thinking, understanding, and decision making, instead of a lot of politics, rules, exchange of information. I think in general today, the world is turning so fast. We have said it many times in this podcast. The world is turning so fast. We do not need personal time together to exchange information. We have so many opportunities to exchange information. We should think together, create together, be humble, be human, strategize together, and create. So therefore, we should use boardrooms also and recreate the boardroom, make it more an open space to think, to express, and to bring your company forward.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, maybe a question for both of you. So let's hear first from Ankita, and then we hear from Bärbel on this. Both of you work with transformation, the one in business, the one in branding. What's something that gets harder with every reinvention?
What gets harder with every reinvention? I feel finding your voice gets harder with every reinvention.
Mhm.
Why I say this? It seems so easy to know that, oh, this is what I want to say. Some people are bold enough to go and do that. But with every reinvention, every transformation, you are so into adapting to that transformation, you get so lost or you get so overwhelmed with the transformation, you eventually lose your voice. You start doubting yourself, you start creating this unnecessary conversation in your head, whether will I be able to do this, will I be able to adapt to something like this. Now let's take a classic example of AI. When AI came, so many people doubted the fact that will I actually be able to adapt to this, and they lost out immediately, because the moment you're questioning it, you are trying to create that barrier in your head that I may just not be able to do it. Okay. So I think most people end up losing their voice because they feel that they need to know something when it has come in, and they need to have the answer to it. Okay. Every reinvention and transformation takes time to get adapted to, get accustomed to, and get attuned to. So you need to step back to assess, how is this transformation impacting you? How is this reinvention changing your game, changing your field, changing the way you think? And then try to figure out what is that sweet spot that you have. Don't lose your voice, don't lose what you've learned, because many of us doubt the fact that we don't know something when something new comes in. Believe me, you know it. It's just the matter of going a little further, studying it a little more, but keeping your thoughts intact. So I think most of us end up losing our voice when it comes to transformations and reinventions, and we kind of take a step back, and we kind of have a setback, in fact, in our life and in our profession at that point of time. You need to be a little more agile than that, so don't lose your voice. Reinvention will keep happening, transformation will keep happening.
Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you especially for daring to share that you might doubt yourself sometimes.
We
Thank
do.
you for sharing this. It takes courage to admit this in live before 100,000 people and maybe millions more that could watch you one day. It takes a lot of courage to admit that sometimes you might have some doubt. We all do, but it takes courage to admit it.
Absolutely. And that's the courage that kind of moves you forward, Let's all have that courage. I keep harping on this so much, but I just hope many people listen to it now.
Yes,
And
yes.
be forgiving with those who dare to start, even in a messy way. Be forgiving, be
Yes,
generous. Let us all
yes,
grow. Yeah.
absolutely. Because kindness costs nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
Berber, the
So
question is knocking on your door.
yes,
You
what
work
makes
in
every
business
transition?
transformation. Yeah. What's something that gets harder with every invention?
Have you heard about the trap of experience? If you fall in this trap because you feel you
Yes.
need to transition, transform, change,
Yeah.
but you will not try certain things because you know it hasn't worked. We have already done this. This is a huge one. So transformation and transitioning doesn't mean that you do none of what you have done before, and it doesn't mean that things that failed before or worked out before, that this will be repeated. So this is one. But on the other side, there is also, you can overdo it with change and transition. You always need to keep in mind that it's not you alone, it's your whole organization. And it's not because something doesn't work out perfectly, you say, let's change the whole game. Let's change. Oh, we change again. Oh, we change again. Oh, let's change again. Then you never get to this point of maturity where the whole organization learned and really is mature to bring the best service, product, or whatever to the customer. So you can also change too much. I shared before, transition, this costs a whole lot of energy, maybe also money, maybe also resources. It costs energy. And if you change too fast, you never get the chance to harvest, because people and organization need to go through this whole process of, yeah, let's change, let's do something new. And then, oh, what did we do? It worked better before. It's so confusing until, now we are in the new land. Now we start to see what we created or what we changed. And on the other side, of course, what is bad also is, no, let's not change. We have always done it this way. So there's really a balance in between. There is a too much and a too little. And do not forget that it takes energy, learning, comprehension for each and everybody involved. So we need the patience therefore also.
Thank you for sharing this. I can definitely relate to that. Okay, Ankita,
Would you like to
in your
share how you can?
experience,
Sorry, I said maybe you want to
no, that's
share how
fine.
you can relate to this.
I don't mind. I prefer actually to be rather like the one asking the questions to help you both actually share your experiences and share your knowledge. I can definitely relate to that. And you know that we've spoken about that in previous podcasts. All right. In your experience, Ankita, how can organizations create space for both analytical thinkers and intuitive feelers so that they can thrive together?
Oh, so we need both sets of people in the organization, and we can't do one without the other. So if you remember, you must know that there was something called as an MBTI test. You know, your a personality assessment test. Basically, it's a Myers Briggs um, some test basically, and this
Yes.
is basically it defines about 16 personality types. You know, I still remember the fact that we had to undergo this in the first organization that I had joined, that everybody had to go through an MBTI, and we needed to assess what kind of a personality you are, so that you can evolve yourself to suit the role, or we can train you better to suit the role that you are doing right now, or maybe shift you to a better role, you know, something that may interest you which is not interesting now. So at that point of time in my team, we had a clear distinction between analytical thinkers and intuitive thinkers. So I was in the intuitive bit of it. I had my peers who were in the analytical bit of it. They were very data driven. They were very to the point, and they were basically the ones who would just get stuff done. You know, for me, it was more about looking at the emotions of the person. Okay, feeling what the person is thinking, whether they are, you know, how will they react to this. And I had this particular angle to me, you know, so the intuitive angle, the emotional angle, and then my peers had the data driven and analytical angle to them. The way my boss drove this was that we were also given you know, kind of processes that required our skill sets, you know. And in any organization, how you can get both of them to function properly is first to actually understand what kind of a person the other person is, you know. So MBTI to a great extent helps you understand whether the person is an intuitive person or an analytical person. Is it an intuitive, are they an intuitive thinker or an analytical thinker? Now once you get that in place, both of them can balance the entire process out in such a way that when one person is looking at the analytics, the other person is adding a perspective to that. You're also being perceptive about the fact, how is this particular process going to play out, how is this particular maybe the recruitment going to play out, or your brand that's going to play out, you know, in today's market. So the best way to make the most of both of them is to understand who is who first in the first place, and try to give them tasks that are a little opposite of each other. Okay, just that's how you can cross manage it, you know. Give them tasks which are opposite of each other, because then you come to build a different side of you. You're not changing your core personality, but you're trying to adapt to what the other person is saying, which brings out a perspective in the entire process or in the entire journey of building a team or building a brand, whatever you may call it. So I would say that, yeah, one, do your assessments first, understand what kind of a person you're dealing with or who your team member is. And second is going to be, try to give them opposite tasks and see how they do it. And see if they can help each other. When, if they get stuck in those opposite tasks, then you will know that they can collaborate and work together well. You know you've created a team there.
And it's not always that easy, right? If you are very opposite to the other person, yes, you can complement each other, which is great. but it's difficult also. I think it's fantastic
Very.
if teams know about each other. If I have a better understanding of my peer, and I say, yeah, okay. I work a lot with those tests, and when I took it for myself the first time, uh, maybe 20 years back, together with my peers, and we were all reading the results and understanding what the different types are and so on. And then our head of IT looked at me and I said, "Oh, Bärbel, you don't know how to do it differently. Now I understand." I had a very good work relationship with him, but once a month we got kind of frictions because I had
Yes.
these ideas and suggestions, and I asked him, and he was a very, very reliable person, taking each and every of my plenty ideas on his huge task list and wanting to investigate and come up with a sophisticated answer and evaluation. And I was just brainstorming, I popped into the office and I said, "Well, could we do this or that?" And he took it as a huge task and didn't have time for it. And then when
Oh
we
my.
took this test together, he was "Oh, no, I understand. You can't do it differently."
No, these tests are quite helpful actually. Don't
Yes.
rely on them 100%, but then I think MBTI has kind of really worked um, wonders for
Yes.
organizations so far. And I'm sure there are many other tests available, but yes, I know I'm a feeler kind of a person, a perceptive feeler. And my team were basically the judgmental types, not that they're judgmental, but they were very, very stubborn, adamant, and extremely difficult to break through, extremely highly logical. So sometimes, yeah, it was very difficult to kind of break through that mindset. But
Yes.
yeah, it happens. It's very difficult. But
Yes.
there are ways to do it. And one of the ways, like I just said,
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much, both of you. It was really an amazing podcast. I don't find the right words to say thank you. To Ankita, I would say, and to her very fervent public, I mean, she has so many fans. As you could see during the podcast, they have been leaving comments. I would
thank
Amazing.
you
say,
so much. I am so, so surprised to see all these comments. I'm like, wow, okay. Very sweet
and
of them.
luckily, we will have Ankita again in a week from now. So if you would like to
Yes.
see Ankita again, we will have her in a week from now again. So you
Yes,
would be able to
absolutely.
also ask any other questions that you have. For Birbal, I'd say, would you like to say anything, any closing words or anything that you would like to announce?
Well, if it's about announcing, but I think we can talk about this next week, that I'm working on my next book because becoming an author has been a dream for me for like 25 years. And I never started. Now I started to bring out my first book, working on the second, and have a third on my heart. But what I want to say at the end of this podcast is that I so much enjoyed exchanging with you. You're a beautiful, wonderful, energetic person, Ankita. And thank you to
Thank
you,
you.
Mark, being a great host, like every time. So I didn't even realize that 90 minutes are gone
Yes,
already. It has been a huge
absolutely.
pleasure. And thank you also to your great audience, to our audience, all these nice comments, people who love you, Ankita. That's amazing and
Thank
so well
you.
deserved.
Thank you so much. It was fun being here. Honestly, I was so worried. I think I wrote to both of you. How is it going to be? Is it going to be a conversation? Is it going to be a Q&A, or what is it? But it kind of made it so smooth. And Barbel, I'm going to take so much inspiration from you for to write a book, because it's been in my head for forever now. I think I'm going to just connect with you offline, sidebar, and then understand from you. Please tell me, how do you go about it? Because you moving on to the second, then the third, and I'm like, here I'm thinking whether even I should write the first.
Please do
But thank
so.
you
This would
so
be a
much.
huge, would be a
Absolutely, I have
huge
so much
pleasure.
to talk to you. And thank you, Mark, and thank you, Babel, for being such an amazing audience here. Lovely
Thank you very
speaking to
much,
both of you.
everybody. Thank you, the public. Thank you, the audience. Thank you, Ankita. Thank you, Birbal. We're saying good night now, but we will see you very soon. Again, we will see you in a
See
week,
you.
again with the beautiful Ankita. But thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Bye bye.